today I'm going to be talking specifically about the Pro Premium Enterprise products, as well as some advancements in the low and high frequencies. So just at a really high level, to talk about how Ansys used to bundle and sell the high-frequency tools. It really was a kind of an a la carte style. And what we would see is you have these, the gold standards, the Maxwell, HFSS, IcePack, these tools would have their baseline versions. And then you take a software like HFSS, and there were a bunch of additional add-ons. The RF option, Optometrics, the SI option, and really because of this, there was, we'd have a conversation with customers where they would say, yeah, we want HFSS, but what else do we need to get what we want? And so some of this was a little bit confusing, not only for customers, but for salespeople and AEs. And so Ansys has now kind of smoothed out the process and bundled like products together so that not only customers are getting more of what they want within a single bundle, but also there's a very clear understanding of what customers see and get to use, and also what an upgrade looks like. Of course, the Electronics Pro Premium Enterprise, this is very similar to how the mechanical and fluids softwares are bundled. And again, this is meant to minimize the need to purchase additional add-ons. So you may hear of using Optometrics, for example. An AE may tell you the benefits of using Optometrics, but at the time of purchase, you may not either be able to afford it, or you may not see the full benefit. And you go down, you start working with the tools, and you realize, oh man, I really wish that we would have purchased this. So now you got to work with the salespeople again. You got to work with the AEs again, and you have to go through that process. And it's adding more stress than needed to be there. And so a lot of this has been resolved in a sense. And when we're talking about this, this is not a forced migration. So customers that already have these Ansys products that are already renewing their techs, they're not being forced into this new PPE structure. And I really want to focus on that for a second. So, you're going to continue to get the software that you love. And if you see the benefit of moving to the PPE structure, you can. For some customers, if they have a base copy of HFSS and they want to move into a premium, now they can get more in additional software and potentially a lower tech cost because of that. So with that, I'm going to move just kind of a little bit slowly into this next slide, which kind of shows the overview of what that really looks like. So we have the Pro, the Premium, and the Enterprise. Pro is really the 2D. So when you think of circuit solvers, Maxwell 2D, EMIEMC, these tools in the 2D area is what's included in Pro. Now, if you want to move from Pro into one of these gold standard software such as HFSS, SiWave, Maxwell, IcePack, Q3D, you can purchase a premium license. That then opens up what would be what we would think of when we're talking about HFSS, with some included benefits now. Certain solvers are now included as well within the HFSS premium software. And we'll go through that in a little bit more detail in the future. But again, when you're purchasing a premium, also getting the pro licenses as well. And then finally, there's also Enterprise. And Enterprise includes now all of the software found in the Premium and the Pro and some additional features, which include the SI Wave advanced options. One example, is the HFSS regions. There's the SBR Plus for Doppler processing, a little bit more advanced design of experiments toolkit within the Ansys software, and then the additional, a copy of Ansys Space Claim for bringing your models in, maybe cleaning them up, and getting them simulation ready for your different tools. So another note that's a few notes that are worth talking about here is, now this is only, the PPE license structure is only compatible for 2020 R1 and later. Optometrics, one of the tools that I talked about, is included for all licenses from Pro, Premium, and Enterprise. I'm going to talk about the third bullet point about HPCs, I think on the next slide. Or a slide in the future, and talk about this enablement of parametric HPCs, parallel parametric HPCs, and then finally, because of that, of the increased capability of the HPCs, the loss or the removal of DSO, or the distributed solve option. So these are things to think about as a user. You could definitely see increased benefit from these from this switch in license structure. Of course, just like with the mechanical Pro, Premium, Enterprise, or the fluids Pro, Premium, Enterprise, there are also additional solvers you can add on. Either the prep post, and the prep post can be included as well. And this is, again, giving you more options, more seats that you can use the softwares, as well as additional solving capabilities if you need to solve using, let's say, more than one HFSS solve at a single time. So, a little bit more detail here on what this looks like. The 2D solver not only includes linear circuit solvers, but also the RF and simpler circuits. So this would be something where a customer would want to use nonlinear circuit solving, and to get that before the Pro, Premium, Enterprise licenses, you would have to purchase the RF option for HFSS. So that is sometimes that was seen as a large hurdle for a lot of users. So they don't get the capabilities that they wanted. And because of that, they're not as satisfied with the tools. But now, at the beginning, you're getting the circuit simulators for linear, nonlinear, as well as some other options. Of course, the Premium includes the advanced solvers, as well as the CAD translation tools. So I think of A-Links, so that what used to be A-Links for MCAD and ECAD, so importing in your MCAD software, importing in your ECAD software for your PCBs. Now that is included within the Premium, the Premium licenses. And then finally, just some detail now on the Enterprise for what those capabilities look like for SI Wave. So when we're talking about increased capabilities for SI Wave, that's including things such as HFSS regions, the IBIS AMI, crosstalk, EMI scanner, those sort of signal integrity tools are now bundled in with the Electronics Enterprise tool. In addition, the SBR Plus license for accelerated Doppler processing, ADP, but there are still SBR Plus functionalities that you will get with the Premium license, except for that ADP capability. That's only in Enterprise. In addition, with Enterprise, again, you get that design of experiments tool, and you also get the access to Space Claim Direct Modeler. Now, of course, if you don't get Enterprise or you don't want to purchase an Enterprise seat, you can always get a premium copy, let's say of HFSS or Maxwell, and also purchase a license of Space Claim Direct Modeler. That's still something that you can do. You're not bound to purchase Enterprise if you want to integrate Space Claim Direct Modeler with a premium, or well, there wouldn't be a reason to do it with Pro because that's 2D. But if you wanted to have the capabilities of Space Claim, you can definitely integrate that with your premium licenses. So again, some notes to help alleviate some confusion. Of course, legacy customers are not impacted by this. Your legacy licenses aren't going to be changed. You do not have to upgrade to PPE. This is an opt-in. And our thought from the RAMSIM and the channel partner side is this is really a benefit for a lot of our customers. This is the opportunity for them to upgrade their licenses, to change to this platform, get more functionality out of these tools, things they may not have been able to have before, and also see a reduction in tech costs, a potential reduction in tech costs by bundling this all together. Also, by switching to this PPE license structure, this allows customers to use parallel parametrics, which was once DSO. And for those that don't know, DSO, the distributed solve option, was an option within parametric optimization studies where you can bring in and utilize multiple computers, multiple processors to perform these solves. And now, with the Ansys HPCs, that is something that you can do more on a single computer basis. So I'm going to move into what that looks like right now. So this is, again, this is a very large change, and what I would consider, a tremendous addition to the Ansys HPC system. This is where you get to see concurrent parametric variations being solved within your systems. This is something that HPCs weren't able to do before. And now, specifically for the electronics packages in R1, and eventually the mechanical and fluids packages in R2, this is something where you'll see a large increase in performance when you're performing those strenuous solves. Parametric studies can take a lot of time. Optimization studies can take a lot of time. And this utilization, this improvement to the HPCs is really a huge benefit. And there's some examples of what that looks like depending on variation and depending on if you have packs or work groups, what that looks like, and then how to calculate potentially how many packs you'll need, or how many work groups you're going to need. But it's really broken down by, and I'll start with packs, where a variation requires a pack. This is utilizing 4 cores for variation. And you can break it down into more variations in parallel below. So if you want to utilize more cores for your variation solves, you can see what you'll need. For our customers that have large systems or have work group licenses, the equations for cores per variation is right there. But for a lot of our users who have HPC packs, this is a new way to utilize and increase performance using the machines that you already currently have. So when we're talking about opting in, how do you do this? So you decide, yes, I want to switch over to the PPE license structure. Now, after getting the new licenses, how do I do this? Well, within the electronics desktop, you can change the configurations, and you can, in the general tab, there is a product licensing where it's a checkbox saying, yes, I want to use the Pro, Premium, and Enterprise licenses, and that will then opt you in. Now, of course, for everyone using the softwares, this is not checked. Again, this is not a requirement. Ansys is not forcing this change on anyone. They're allowing the users that are interested to opt in and get these increased benefits. So there's also a way to do the silent install for those who are using that. But again, this is what I see as an opportunity for those that want to or need to opt in. Now, of course, any new customers that are purchasing new product are going to be purchasing this license structure. So a customer that may want HFSS would be getting HFSS Premium. And what I'm going to show you now on this next page, and I'm going to leave this here for a little while, is what each one of those includes. So I'll let this kind of be digested for a couple minutes here. The Pro, again, being the 2D software, what's all included with that. And then you can see for each Premium license, what's included with that Premium, the solvers that are included, and then finally Enterprise, which includes all of it, which, I think is worthwhile just to look through this. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. You can type them in the chat, and we can have those asked. We can work through some of the things you may have questions about for this. Now, something to talk about too when we were talking about HPCs, just like with the legacy licenses, if you made a purchase prior to 2020 R1, you still get the 4 HPC cores included with any license, Pro, Premium, or Enterprise. So this allows you to utilize at the beginning at least 4 cores, where you can purchase additional packs to utilize more cores. And if you're interested, you can use them potentially in parallel for your parametric solves. Another thing that I think is worth talking about is the difference between the Q3D extractor and the 2D extractor. So the 2D extractor, again, is included for the Pro package, and because of that is now included with every Premium license. So you get additional capabilities for a lot of users when we're talking about extraction in the 2D environment with all of your copies of Premium, and I guess Pro there as well. Like I was saying before, all of the licenses now include the HF, the high frequency circuit simulator. So that includes the DC transient and nonlinear. If you're interested in including circuit model support, that's going to be in the Premiums, and that's your SPICE, your PSPICE, your HSPICE, and your Verilog A. And then as you guys can see, there are a bunch of additional inclusions for the Pro and Premium licenses, which again, you would not have seen before with the legacy structure. Most of this was broken up. There were a lot of different things that you could purchase together, that you would have to purchase together to get this functionality that you now get with Pro and Premium. And this also gives you the ability with a single enterprise license to get all the capabilities within the high frequency environment. So the last thing I think that's worth saying and worth bringing up before I kind of open the floor to some questions here is when you're purchasing an enterprise seat, this is one seat. So if a customer is interested and they have the need for, they have users that want to use HFSS, Maxwell, and let's say IcePack, and they all want to use them at the same time. Of course, the enterprise option gives you all of those solvers, but it gives you one pre-post and the ability to solve one at a time. So what you need to think about is when you're thinking about this purchase or you're thinking about using these tools is potentially how many users am I going to have at a single time. If it's going to be, one person is going to be typically using HFSS and they need it constantly, and we also have a user that's going to be using IcePack and we don't want them to have any conflict, we may need to include a additional pre-post. So that is worth considering. Of course, if you were to purchase either an enterprise pre-post or two premium licenses, those two premium licenses will each come with a 3D pre-post. So it is at least worth commenting on, and it is, again, something to think about, but it is also a great description right here of everything that you can expect to get with each new license. So I'm going to jump right into new high-frequency features and changes. The first one being some improvements to the HFSS SBR Plus, as well as the EMIEMC changes, some EMIT changes, and some now new beta features. Now, I'm not going to be able to cover all of these, but these can be found within the customer portal. I'm going to highlight a few of them today that I think are very interesting. But of course, this is going to be specific to your workflows and some improvements that you guys may see depending on what you're using. So I'm just going to highlight a few of them. The first one is this new iterative matrix solver. This is a really unbelievable feature that's been improved on within the tools. As you can see, when we're talking about a direct solver or even the old iterative solver, the amount of time it took to solve and the amount of memory it took it was rather large for the model that you see below. And of course, yes, it is a complex model, but by the inclusion of this new iterative solver, not only do you see a significant decrease in amount of RAM used, but we're talking about a 30-minute run that used to be over or close to an hour to 2 hours. This is one of the great things about Ansys is they do spend a lot of time and money and effort into the R&D, and these are the things that we see with the improvement to these tools. So I think this is pretty exciting, and it's a nice new feature for those of you that are deciding to move to 2020 R1. An additional feature that I am, from my career, excited about is the inclusion of and the use of new EMIEMC simulation. So for the longest time, a lot of these tools and capabilities had to be created by the user or found either by contacting an Ansys AE or if you just so happen to have some of these setups. And what I'm talking about specifically are some testing, what I would call testing suites. So I'm talking about conducted emissions, I'm talking about radiated emissions, bulk current injection, and other standard testing that many users that develop really almost anything in the US has to go through to be able to have their devices approved. Now, for me and from my perspective, this is the opportunity after you've used the tools in HFSS and SI-Wave, where you've looked at things like your S-parameter modeling, looked at crosstalk, you've looked at and run those kind of signal integrity simulations, and now you want to get an understanding of how your device is going to perform within a testing suite. So here are some examples. So we're talking again about things like radiant emissions, where you can now bring your device in through this simulation environment. And these are hosted within the HFSS example folders. So you can go and grab these. They are pre-set up for you, and all you need to do is insert your PCB, and you can do some minor setup techniques, and you can perform these simulations. So this is, I think, just a fantastic addition for the HFSS tools. Of course, it was always there. These tools were always readily available to users. A lot of people may have built these within their own environment, but now Ansys is distributing it with all copies of 2020 R1 and moving forward. They have worked extremely hard to verify these. There's a lot of work that's been done, and I'm thankful for all the people that have done it. It's pretty impressive feat. Just to highlight some of them, talking again about bulk current injections, conducted emissions, radiant emissions, pulse, discharge hazards. Susceptibility is another one that's included. These are things that you would commonly see within, in a testing house that you'd go and test, but now you can get that assurance before you go and test. You get a good feeling for how your device is going to perform using these Ansys tools. So it's really a nice strengthen to the end of your simulations before you go and fabricate. Again, now I'm going to jump to low frequency, again, just for time's sake, but also for detail. For those low frequency users, there are a few new things for 2020 R1. There's additional things that you can find online. I just wanted to cover these because, again, they're relatively, and they're very unique. And so the first one is this element-based volumetric harmonic force coupling. So this is where now you can couple your Maxwell simulations with the harmonic response mechanical tool and get and understand what that will look like for, and the example here is for a transformer. But you can have a good feeling, and you can really map out how your harmonic response will be for your low frequency tools. Again, this is a nice workflow, taking the results that you generate within Maxwell, taking those and bringing it into mechanical, and then finally getting an understanding of, in this case, acoustics for your designs. And so this, again, this allows you, starting with Maxwell, you can ask and answer certain questions. Now being able to couple this with mechanical, you can ask and have answered more questions with your harmonic response. And finally, with this acoustics, you're getting additional information that you couldn't get prior. This is on the 3D level, but there's an additional 2D multi-slice modeling for the for harmonic force coupling. So you can do this on a 3D level. You can also do this on a 2D level for partial modeling. And this is, again, a nice inclusion within the low frequency tools. Another one, again, I actually got the next, I've gotten questions about this quite a bit, and this is the LITS wire modeling tools. So increased capability within the Maxwell tools. So things that you traditionally weren't able to do or were simplified can now be better simulated and better represented for your LITS wires. You get to choose again from round, square, rectangular. You can include things like ohmic loss due to skin and proximity effects, and it'll allow you to represent and measure now this stranded loss in an AC environment. So this is taking additional capabilities and allowing you to ask and answer more questions with the tools that you already have. So this is what I really enjoy about seeing and talking about these features. Of course, there are additional features and releases for the SI tools, for SI Wave. In addition, there, of course, are tool improvements for IcePack. And I would recommend that if you have any questions or if you're interested, one, you can ask me, of course, but within the customer portal, you can go in and look at the full detailed PowerPoints for these tools. What's new in 2020 R1, specifically for high frequency, for low frequency, for signal integrity, for IcePack, Q3D, and all of the other tools. So you can go in and get some more detail there. And with that, that is the last slide. And I wanted to leave quite a bit of time for questions because I expected, and maybe I'm wrong, but I expected some questions regarding the new license structures.